At 40, rejection emails feel personal and heavy. At 21, growth was replaced with endless scrolling. At 40, bills create constant pressure. At 21, responsibility kept getting avoided. At 40, job applications become daily survival.
Why won't you work? Another error?
At 21, gaming replaced skill building for years. At 40, interviews feel emotionally exhausting. At 21, learning opportunities were ignored completely. At 40, silence follows another rejection notification. At 21, procrastination became a lifestyle habit. At 40, financial uncertainty controls everyday thinking.
How did this happen?
At 21, focus and discipline never stayed consistent. At 40, confidence disappears inside interview rooms.
They align somewhat with the,
At 21, communication skills were never developed. At 40, isolation grows during unemployment. At 21, discomfort and hard work were constantly avoided. At 40, outdated skills become expensive weaknesses. At 21, modern skills felt unnecessary to learn. At 40, motivation feels harder to maintain. At 21, structure and routine never existed. At 40, supporting a family feels overwhelming.
Completely outdated. How are we going to pay for this?
At 21, money was spent without direction or purpose. At 40, every application starts feeling hopeless. At 21, success was expected without preparation. At 40, younger workers become the competition. At 21, experience and expertise were ignored. At 40, unemployment starts affecting identity itself. At 21, quitting became easier than persistence. At 40, pressure builds from every unpaid expense. At 21, time was wasted instead of invested. At 40, adapting to change feels difficult. At 21, learning and networking were neglected early. At 40, the empty inbox becomes emotionally draining. At 21, entertainment mattered more than growth. At 40, failure feels repeated and exhausting. At 21, laziness quietly became daily behavior. At 40, stability feels far away. At 21, discipline and long-term thinking were ignored. At 40, regret becomes impossible to silence. At 21, improvement was always delayed until later. At 40, career growth feels permanently behind. At 21, accountability never became part of life. At 40, uncertainty follows every morning. At 21, procrastination became socially acceptable. At 40, the workforce feels brutally competitive. At 21, valuable skills were never developed early. At 40, life feels trapped by old decisions. At 21, future unemployment was being built quietly. At 40, exhaustion comes from years of neglect. At 21, value was never built while time still existed.
If this video opened your eyes, make sure you subscribe, because what you learn today can save your future tomorrow.